is back to the good old story time. You recently shared how you lost 25% of your members a few years ago when you shifted from a CrossFit gym to what your gym is now. And now we got the legitimate question from someone who was like, okay, but what happened then? Because we kind of like stopped the story at the
Yeah, right.
lower
Now
end.
I managed to get rid of people, and maybe I have also added some people in the process, which I actually did. So, what was the question?
What came after the loss of the members? How did you then get out of that pit?
Okay, so looking at something in retrospective is going to sound way faster and way easier than it actually was. Because I was devastated. Guess what? You just lost 25% of your members, which is minus 25% of your revenue, which is like a hard hit. So it took me a couple of months to be like, okay, what's something, okay, very simply speaking, what do I want people saying about training at Greg's when they're meeting somebody else? I literally thought about this. So do I want to have like, oh, they have a great community and their coaches are so nice and their showers are like top notch and they have the best protein shake in town? Or do I want to hear something like, dude, I stalled at my bench press 120 for like 3 years and I finally broke that plateau? Or Susie saying, hey, I finally managed to get my first pull up. I have no fucking clue how I did this, but I just showed up 3 times a week and it was just there at some point. So surprisingly, I focus on the latter. So I focus on problem solving, which sounds so stupid, but which problems do we need to solve? How can I create measurable results? And guess what? People are really motivated if they see results. I don't believe in unmotivated people. I just see whether it's programs or gyms offering stuff to give you no chance for measurable progress. And guess what? At some point, you're gonna be like, okay, why investing time, money, and energy in this if I don't achieve my goals, right?
Mhm.
And high fives and community is great, but at the end of the day, I want to either lose weight, get my first pull up, or pull 300 off the floor. So I focus on problem solving. That means I had to create processes, the one we just talked about for the hips and the shoulders. So people had a clear learning curve. Okay, this is what I need to learn, and if I do this, the pull-up will be there. And once you learn how to learn again, or maybe for the first time ever, you feel super motivated because there's like, okay, what if I do the same thing for whatever? I have my first pull up and I want to get to 10 push ups. Like, okay, this is working for 10 push ups as well. That's great. What about 25 kilos on my deadlift plus? Okay, cool. That works too. So this was my only focus. How can I create processes, how to teach stuff to people so that I can guarantee progress for them? Again, I'm going to add this. I can guarantee the outcome. What I cannot guarantee is when you will get it, because that will be called fraud. Because I don't know how often you're going to show up to my gym. If you're telling me, okay, Greg, for a year straight, I'm going to show up 3 times a week. That's 150 training sessions per week. I have one pull up now. Do you think I can get to 3 at the end of that year? That I can guarantee, right? And it depends if we actually show up 3 times a week. But for me, as a gym owner, I have to guarantee progress because otherwise we're just talking about, I don't know, selling lollipops and, I don't know, emotional therapy.
But what was that step like really practically for you after those members left? What were like the first, I don't know, 5 things you then did um, to kind of like start that journey?
Okay, that's actually a good question. So what was the first step? The first step is I switched the programming from very heavily focused on barbells towards implementing more stuff at that time that I saw worked, like sleds and sandbags and neutral bars and all that kind of stuff. But at like 5, 6 years ago, I had no clue why it was working. I just saw that if I give a newbie a barbell, an empty barbell, super safe and whatever, and let him do 20 reps, the 20th rep is going to look shittier than the first one. If I do the same weight, 20 kilos with a sandbag. The last rep looks better than the first one. I was like, oh, that's interesting. I mean, I kind of like this. I don't like the sandbag more, but I like what it's producing. And that's still my attitude towards the sandbag. I fucking hate that thing every single time I pick it up. But I like the progress of it. I like that my body is actually using the big muscles. I see less bone displacement. And that motivates me to do stuff that's maybe not, whatever, comfortable, right? So I got rid of heavy barbell focus. We'll still have it in the program, no problem. But I created like in the book I call it the wet hierarchy with a weight bearing, eccentrics, and the skill part. And that's important because it's not about sandbag or barbell. It's about the order of things, right? And you have to start training people with stuff that fits in between the hands because that's what we did for eternity until 150 years ago when the barbell showed up. And at the end of that road, at the end of that hierarchy, fuck yeah, there's the barbell. 100%. I don't want to take the barbell away from you. I just want to prep you for it so you can have the most progress ever. That's the only goal. So that was the first step, changing the programming and creating a hierarchy and slowly bringing in different aspects of different equipment and how we coach stuff into the programming. And then we had to learn how to explain stuff to people that no one has explained before, like a neutral hip, like jobs of muscles, like those are very unnatural things for us coaches because that's not how you talk to somebody while coaching a squat. You just say knees out, chest up, and whatever.
But how did you do that from a practical standpoint? Did you, with the coaches, sit down and did you like talk it through, or in your training sessions, did you guys just repeat it ad nauseum, or how was that process?
So the cool thing is if you own a gym, you can force your employees to do stuff. That's the fun part about owning it. So they had to try stuff. And I made them do stuff because I knew that they were seeing the same progress steps that I was experiencing. And of course, like every change is you have a natural reaction of like, oh, that's not how we did it. And now we're doing stiff leg deadlift and feels weird and it looks weird. But we did like we literally put this in our own coaches training program. So they had to train with me 4 times a week. They had to do the stuff that I was training. So I showed them practically, okay, if you do this, yes, it will feel shitty in the beginning because it's change and it's uncomfortable and you're not used to it and you don't like changing what you're doing. You don't like to change your behavior per se. Hey, we're humans. But after 6 weeks, one of my coaches told me, I actually feel my glute working on a farmer carry for the very first time. Well, actually, yesterday, one of my older coaches told me, my fucking glutes are sore. And he was like, but I have not done glute work at all in the last 2 weeks, like isolated work. I was like, dude, you just did a pharma carry like 2 days ago. So your glutes are working, your glutes learn to stabilize. And that's somebody that comes from professional sports with a lot of knee issues. And when we first started training and he did whatever carries, like his hips were like shifting crazy. His knees were wobbling, like, and he was deadlifting 250 by that time. So really strong dude, but there was just no quote unquote structure there. So if you want to change stuff, you have to do it. You have to actually do it first, see the progress, teach it to your coaches. They have to see the progress too. Then they get really motivated of transferring their own progress to their people in their classes, right? That's motivating because, hey, I've just experienced a great thing and I want you to experience that too. It's the same as you've just been on holidays to whatever, Japan, and you're super excited and you invite friends and tell them about to go to Japan too, right? So you're delivering that enthusiasm from your progress to other people. And guess what? You're going to coach much more precise and much more, whatever, nicely if you know that that person is going to get progress too.
Do you happen to have an example on top of your head, like how that verbiage pretty much changed? Like when you formerly used to say something like, I don't know, chest up in a squat, for instance, what was then the new language you guys pretty much used?
So my goal was and is still to use as little words as possible because I think words are horrible to describe stuff. That should happen from doing sequences, right? Because chest up is like, okay, I get what you're telling me, but I don't know what to do now. So the goal was, okay, how can we not say things about teaching a squat and the squat gets better? And this is where that sequencing comes from. For example, we start with the butt burners. You just feel how your glutes feel when you're not moving them around and your hips stabilize. So you get a feeling of what that should be like. Okay, then you go into your sled drag. And the only thing I'm going to tell you is, okay, just stay on your heels, pressure through your heels, and try to squeeze your booty at all times. Squeezing the booty is great because I know if I'm actually doing it, right? And I can see it because if I see the booty contracting, I say that's happening. If I say something like keep your hips neutral, it's like, okay, what the fuck does that mean? I say yes, I'll do it, but I don't know what to actually do. And contracting a muscle is something that I can voluntarily control, right? If I can control something voluntarily, that means I can repeat it because I know what to do, right? I don't have to ask my coach if my hips are neutral. I know if I squeeze my booty or not. So that was the change in words. And again, still the goal is to use as little words as possible and to do like the coaching on mute.
How was that? I can imagine that that was really difficult for the coaches at first.
Absolutely, because we coaches are used to throwing out or spitting out the 25 cues we've learned at weekend workshops, which is great. It's a good start. But but it's like okay, it's a difference between pleasuring yourself and having intercourse with somebody else, right? So that means, yes, you will feel great, but it's a totally different ballgame if the other person feels great too, right? One's very selfish because you're blurring out all the cues you've learned and you feel great about yourself because you've literally emptied your word tank. It's like, this is all I've got in me, and now I've told everything I know about it. And the person in front of you is like, all the question marks above the head is like, okay, great, sounds good, but I have actually no fucking clue what to do now. Okay. And the difference to, okay, this is how you should feel. So if before I explain, or I'd rather have you do three exercises in a row, like the butt burner, the reverse sled drag, the harness bear crawl, and then just give you a sandbag and just let you squat, and tension and position will be there, rather than explaining you and lecturing you for 10 minutes what a squat should look like and where bones should be and the glute max needs to contract at that point. You've wasted time, energy, and a lot of money from the person that is standing in front of you. Just deliver results and the person will be happy.
Famous last words?
Less words, more progress. See you next week.